This week we're talking about social control and social bonding theories along with self-control theory. I have broken this up into two different recordings so that they won't be too long. The second one is focused more on the social bonding and self-control. But let's move into it. Social control theory, that, as I said, is also called the social bonding theory. And the major difference between this theory and other theories is the basic assumption about human nature. Social bonding theory proposes that people do not need motivation or reasons for deviance in criminal behavior because given the opportunity that without these social controls, anyone would commit the crime. The other positive theories assume that everyone will conform in the absence of a motivation to commit crime. So the common ground among social control theories and other theories such as social learning and strain theory is the dependent variable is always the same. It is crime, deviance, or delinquency. It's the behavior, it's the outcome, which is what a dependent variable is. And the independent variable is what impacts that dependent variable. All of these theories are asking why there is crime, deviancy, or delinquency. Social control theory relies heavily on socialization, and this happens in two different ways. The first way is in the family, school, and church, as well really as within other groups such as other types of peer groups. The second is more formal social sanctions that are usually from the criminal justice system that could be in the form of fines, confinement, and in some cases actually death. So keep in mind that these theories are talking about how society forms in a person's behavior. In 1951, talking about some of the early control theorists, Albert Rees, he theorized that the cause of delinquency is a failure of personal and social controls. The personal controls are internalized values of social norms. So when these controls fail, the deviant behavior can then occur. So a few years later, Ivan Nye in 1958, he published his multi-causal theory, and he said that in some cases people commit crimes because there's an absence of control, and in other cases there are positive factors such as personality traits and delinquency that are causal. Those are causal factors. Now he had three categories of social control, and they are direct control, indirect control, and the Kohlberg stages of moral development, which is more internalized. The direct control, this is basically reward and punishment. So if a child doesn't behave in pro-social ways, they are then punished or they're threatened to be punished. And if they behave, then the parents or others then will reward them. And this is a form of praise or extra privileges. The second one I mentioned, is indirect control. Now this is where the child behaves because he or she doesn't really want to disappoint her parents or important others. They want to always please. So it might be parents, teachers, coaches. They don't want to cause others pain as a result of their misbehavior, and some of that pain can actually be a disappointment, can be more emotional. The third type that I was mentioning, it's like Kohlberg's stages of moral development. So the control has been internalized. The young person's conscience or sense of guilt or shame really is what prevents them from engaging in the bad behavior, or delinquency, or crime. Now, Nye emphasized indirect and informal controls because these are usually the most personal and the most effective at early stages of development. As I was saying, the most effective at early stages of development. Go to here. He argued that juveniles need affection, recognition, security, and new experiences. So if the individual does not get these needs met within the family, he or she will then look elsewhere, which can sometimes mean delinquency to others. This is where you'll see many times with juveniles, when they don't receive these experiences or these the affection, recognition, security at home or within their family unit, they will go outside. They may end up going into the streets. They go to peers. This is where gangs become involved. Gangs will take over and bring in that juvenile, and guess what they do? They give them the attachment and the commitment that they needed from. So now they're committed and attached to a deviant group or deviant behavior. So about the same time that Nye was formulating his theory, Walter Reckless, he proposed the containment theory. And this is built on the same concept of internal and external control, but Reckless really termed it inner and outer containment. He said that inner and outer pushes and pulls that will produce delinquent behavior unless it's contradicted by inner or outer containment. So the idea here is that an individual is motivated to deviancy unless there is containment. So the motivation can come from outer sources such as a deviant peer group, inner drives such as impulsivity, or even the need for immediate gratification, which is a huge issue that we see, especially with the youngers, with the youth and juveniles. So unless these inner or outer pushes are contained, then the probability of deviance increases. Now, he defined the outer containment as appropriate parental and school supervision and discipline. So also, he said that strong pro-social group cohesion and a consistent moral front can really decrease the likelihood of delinquency occurring. So the inner containment is having a strong conscience and a good self-concept. Now, he proposed that socialization in the family is essentially formed by age 12. So there's pretty good empirical support for this. If a child has a good self-concept at 12, he or she is less likely to be arrested at 16. Okay, let's move on to the next one. About the same time, Sykes and Matza, that I'm sure you read about and studied in undergrad, they proposed the theory of neutralization. And they said that juveniles don't totally reject conventional values, but they have an additional set of subterranean values. And they said that juveniles drift in and out of conventional and these subterranean systems. The subterranean value set contains rationalizations for the antisocial behaviors that are under certain conditions. Now, the 5 types of belief that they identified are condemn the condemner, the condemner. Now, this is the one telling me that I'm bad is really the bad one. The denial of responsibility. It's not my fault. I didn't do it. So-and-so made me do it. Even this, somebody left it there. They left their door open. Denial of injury. This is that no one got hurt, so really it's okay to do whatever was done. I didn't hurt anybody. I went into an open door. I just took something that was sitting there. Nobody cared about it. Nobody wanted it. Denial of victim. The victim had it coming. They should not have been where they were. It's their fault. And also appealing to a higher loyalty. Loyalty to one's group or gang. Now, David Matza, he elaborated on the neutralization theory. He said that the drift is really a release from moral constraints from the child's life. An example of this would be, a child who grows up in a very repressive family environment. Maybe it's overly strict religious family. Maybe the family has a strict class culture. The child simply is just not allowed to be a kid. And eventually he or she, they can't keep things going, keep things together, so they will engage in deviant behavior, and then they neutralize it with one of the rationalizations that I just talked about. Okay, that's the end of this part for this week.